Amy Liu is the founder and CEO of Tower 28, the best-selling beauty brand known for creating skin-safe products that actually work. After spending 2 decades as a beauty executive and struggling with eczema herself, Amy set out to launch Tower 28 in 2019, and it quickly gained a cult following for its gentle, effective formulas and bright, playful branding. In this episode, we talk about how to get scrappy and raise money fast, how to break into Sephora and actually make it work, and how to manufacture a beauty product from scratch that has a lot of formula limitations. Amy also shares some of the behind-the-scenes realities of growing a brand in a crowded market and the moments that pushed her to keep going even when things get a little tough. I hope you love this episode as much as we do. Amy, welcome.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Glad there's no fire in the building this time, so we can make it happen.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah, can you just tell us a bit about yourself, Tower 28, and how it came to be?
Yeah, sure. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I'm also a beauty executive. So I've worked in the industry for, gosh, it's been 23 years at this point. So it's kind of the only job I've ever had, working in the beauty industry, specifically on the marketing side of things. And then even longer than that, if you can imagine, I've had eczema. And so for me, eczema showed up on my face, on my hands, in my joints. And it was really something that I think the combination of being a beauty executive and working and having eczema made me very self-conscious. And I kind of felt a little bit of almost imposter syndrome, I guess would be the word. But I was always the person who was going in and selling in the next spring, summer, fall holiday set of products and telling you about the next most aspirational lotion potion that was gonna make your skin, perfect, and I felt like, "But don't look at my hands, don't look at my face." And I was also afraid to use a lot of things because I was so afraid that the skin products, the makeup products I was using were gonna make my skin worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really is what encouraged me to make Tower 28. So Tower 28 is a line of products that are not only clean, but safe for sensitive skin and high performance. And all of those things probably existed before in different products, but not all together. So we like to say we're good, clean, fun, which means products that are, high performance, clean, meaning non-toxic and safe for sensitive skin, but also fun, which is the price point too.
Yeah.
So our products are,
Sorry.
bless you, sold at Sephora, so in a prestige environment. So Sephora, Credo, Goop. But it's an entry-level price point. So our lip gloss is like $16 and some people's are more like, I would say the average is more like 25.
Yeah. And what inspired you to kind of take that jump from, being an executive for so long, maybe being on the older side as a founder, which I know you
Yeah.
talk a lot about. Like, what motivated you at that point to be like, let's
Yeah,
go?
I think to say I was so inspired that I jumped is probably not the right characterization. I felt like I got a good swift
Mm.
kick in the butt. So I have always wanted to do this entrepreneurial thing. I grew up with a dad who was an entrepreneur. And then I worked for other people. And then I think you kind of just keep doing what you're good at. And I was a pretty good number 2. Like I was good at working for other people and making other people's dreams come true. I had my kids, I had a career, and then I just didn't do it, and then I found myself at 40 being like, "Okay, well, what am I doing?" And a friend of mine literally said to me, "What are you doing? If you don't do it now, you'll never do it." I was just about to turn 40, and he said, I was like, "Well, easy for you to say. I don't have, like, money. I don't have, a partner." And he was like, "Well, what if I was your first money in?" And I
And you already
think
had the idea at that
I
point?
did not have an
Oh.
idea, which is why it's so crazy. Like,
Mm.
I think I had percolated on
Yeah.
an idea, and frankly, and actually this I don't talk about this much, but I had tried to start 3 other companies before this in areas that were 100% not related to anything I knew about. So one was, for pets. It was supposed to be, like, Honest Company for pets. So,
Yeah.
like, dog poop bags,
Yeah,
like a,
it's a great idea.
That's
subscription
a really good idea.
business for, like, anything related to, like, pet care. One was, it was called the Little Bra Company, and it was, like, let's
Little
Yeah.
small boobs.
Wait, like the brand Pepper, right? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically the
Yeah.
brand Pepper. So that was one.
Also a good
too.
idea.
Also a good idea. And then the third one was you've seen those shower attachments like Jolie,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it was like the idea of doing that, but attaching it to a bathtub
Yep.
and making it for kids. You know how they have those
Yeah.
whales
Yeah.
and things like that
Yeah.
go over.
These are all great ideas.
Yeah.
Great
Which Canopy now
ideas.
does.
I need to know why they failed.
They
Yeah.
for very different reasons for
Yeah.
all of them, but ultimately the through line through all of those was I didn't know anything about those industries,
Mhm.
right? Like, that
Yeah.
was not my competitive advantage. That was
Mhm.
not my, what do they call it?
Unfair advantage.
Your unfair advantage. It just really was the fact that I've been in the same industry for this long, how is it not super obvious that this was the only thing that I would do?
Yeah.
In the end, I was like, "Okay, well, obviously it needs to be in beauty," but I think sometimes when you're in the same industry for a long time, you do the opposite where you're so cynical and you're like, "Well, I have nothing to add." Like,
Mhm.
everything's been done before, but the
Yeah.
truth of it is, like, some of it is true, and then the other part of it is curation, like, anything can evolve too, so it really was that was a need gap that I found was that all of these things existed. You could find products that were non-toxic, you could find them high performance, you could find them safe for sensitive skin. It was really hard to find them all in the same I didn't see it. It wasn't all in the same place.
Mhm.
And then obviously brand and everything else.
So I two things really stood out to me. That it was your fourth company, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so were you scared to try for a fourth time that? And then also being 40, which obviously you look 20, but
No.
it's like being 40, were you scared?
I mean, I was scared the whole time. I think
Yeah.
I have been, not someone who was super ballsy my whole life. I was one of those people that especially when I was young, I think I really lived for my resume, and I was so afraid of messing up. I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, I'm gonna go to business school because that's not the wrong decision to
Yeah.
do." The only other job I've had outside of beauty is consulting, and I was like, again, like, that doesn't seem like a wrong idea, and I was like, "Okay, I'll get L'Oreal on my resume, then I'll get Smashbox, then I'll get Kate Somerville," like, things that felt like my job title was getting bigger, and I kind of feel like I fell into that trap of, like, really not wanting to mess up this, like, very linear resume I had put together. So, yes, I was scared the entire time. I would say the biggest difference between Tower 28 and those other ideas was I attached myself to other people for those ideas. So, those ideas were all things that I had found a partner for, and I was convinced that they really knew what they were doing, and they were really talented, and I could just help support. And I kinda told myself this story. I was like, "I'm a really good number 2. I know how to make someone else's dream come true." And even, like, one of the deals actually that I had partnered with or 2 of them actually, it was more like, "I'll be the money and you be the sweat." And I was like, "Okay," because I was risk averse
Mhm.
financially too. We had 3 kids.
Mhm.
At the time, we had chosen private school. We had a house for the first we didn't buy our first house until I was older as well. And so those are all decisions in LA that are expensive
Yeah.
Yeah.
and require, like, pretty high salaries, and
Mhm.
we were in a position where we were making enough money to pay for our lifestyle, but not enough money to, like, vacation and, like, save for college and do all
Mhm.
those things, and so, yeah, I was super risk averse, but I think at some point, it felt like the biggest difference was betting on myself versus, like, betting on someone else.
And then how did you like you said, like, we didn't have the money for you to kind of jump in, like, how did you prepare your lifestyle for that and make those relevant changes and also, like, talk to your partner
Yeah, I would
who had to do
so
the
my
same
husband today is
thing?
my CFO, and I know
Okay.
you guys work together too. And I think the best thing that he did so my husband Victor is we are complete opposites. I like to think about like building and dreaming and growing, and he likes to think about catching and like how's it going to go wrong and like all the
Yeah.
things that might happen,
Yeah.
right? Which is just not
A great duo, though.
Mhm.
mentally where I like to
Yeah.
live, but somebody's gotta do it,
Yeah.
So yeah.
right? Like, I would never have been the person who was, like, putting money aside to make sure I could pay for taxes. I was just thinking about, like, top line growth
Yeah.
and, you know
Yeah, you can put that on a credit card.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not that either, but, like, somewhere in between. But my husband, I would give him a lot of credit because early on, he was like, "Listen, the most important thing" and this is when he did not join the company, but he was like, "The most important thing is that we are good, you and me."
Mhm.
And he's like, "If you're not gonna make money, fine. If you're gonna invest money, fine. But, like, you can't make money and invest money, and we're gonna keep our current lifestyle, like, we're gonna still have, like, kids in private school, we're gonna keep having a nanny, we're gonna keep doing all these things." He's like, "Something's gotta give here." And so he made some rules. He was like, okay, we can't do this for more than 5 years where you're not taking a salary. And we're also not going to put in more than $150,000. And that was like, and having those boundaries, I actually think is really healthy because then you're like, okay, we agree. And we're not going to let it get too far. Because I think his biggest fear was that we were going to get into it and we would just keep pouring into it. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, how deep am I in?
Yeah.
Time and money wise. And then he was like, and the kids can't go to private school. I was
so you
like,
got-
sorry, kids.
Hey, I went to
But
public
like, and
school.
I feel like when I say that, it sounds like kind of rich people problems, and it is to some degree, but it was hard at the time because you're telling that point, I think my kids were like 9 and 7.
Yeah.
So they're definitely, and then one in preschool, and they're old enough to know, hey, we're changing, and it's because of a decision you made.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's about their friendships. It's not,
It's
they don't,
not private
they
versus
don't
public.
care.
public. Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
changing schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is sacrifice.
Yeah, and
But
it
you
was-
okay, so this was interesting too. You don't even have the idea yet. So you just knew you had to check in.
At the beginning, so then as soon as this guy, this friend of mine from business school said like, hey, I'll invest. And then he basically said, okay, you need to go, I will invest under the terms that you can raise the rest of the money within 30 days. So it was like
What
a
was
very
the rest of the
fast,
money?
it was
Damn.
500,000. So he put in 250 and he was
That's not
like,
easy.
you have to raise another 250. And I was like, I didn't know anything about it. He gave me a term sheet and he was like, here's what you do. Like, go find out. Don't believe that we're friends. Go ask people if this is a good term sheet and ask people for advice. And I did that. And when I asked people for advice, they were like,
Yeah.
yes, can I invest? Or I'll introduce you to somebody. Maybe they'll invest.
But
And-
also the first term sheet is the hardest part.
And
right?
I think
So, like,
having
you
a
have
lead
momentum.
investor and having something, and then actually I think having that 30 days gamified it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it made it a lot faster because a lot of times you ask someone, you're like, hey, do you want to invest? And then they just like kind of hem and haw. And there's no real reason to have to say yes.
Yeah.
And so I think this made it like, okay, well, and I need an answer because I'm closing the round in,
And did
2
you have
weeks.
the product, like at least samples?
No.
Wait, what did you
I had
have? What are you
nothing. I had
showing
a-
these investors?
I put together a deck.
Yeah.
So after he offered, I was like, okay, clearly it's got to be a beauty company. I always was like, I want products clean, safer, sensitive. That was always the ethos around it. Initially, it was much more around younger people, like a much more of a Gen Z kind of aspect to it. And even the safer, sensitive skin part wasn't really. It was always the way I was going to make the products, but it wasn't a huge part of like the offering. So the idea evolved, and the truth is, like, nobody looked at my deck. Like, I put together a deck because I wanted to show it to people, but 0 people looked at it. Everyone who invested based on my resume.
Yeah.
That is wild.
That is normal though at that stage, right?
To
like
not have
you aren't
product though?
well, that's what I mean. If you
I
don't have product,
also only raised 500,000.
Yeah.
I raised it from friends and family.
Yeah.
Mostly, I would say everyone knew me. There were a few people that invested who did not know me, and I was shocked they invested, to be honest. I would say there's 2. One is Divya Gugnani, if you know who she is. She's the founder of Wander Beauty and now 5 Cents and does a ton of investing. I literally met her. I heard her on a podcast. I heard her on Glossy's podcast, and she was talking about fundraising. And I listened to it because she was talking about fundraising. I was trying to fundraise. And then I met her coincidentally at a dinner. And I was like, I just listened to your podcast and you were so great. That was such great advice. And she was like, call me if you ever need advice. And I was like, okay, I will. And I like sent her my deck or whatever. Again, she didn't look at it. We got on a call, and then I was like, I'm coming to New York. Let's go to dinner. One call, one dinner, she invested.
That's amazing.
I had nothing.
But it's you. Like, it's not nothing. Like, yes, it's not surprising they didn't look at the deck, but they are investing in you. Sure, your resume, that's like a validation, but like it's meeting you and being like, this person, I believe,
well, and at
can
the
take
end of the
this
day,
through
that's
to
what we
the
invest
next
in, whether
stage.
we're hiring people, that's making an investment, or if you're like literally investing your money, the idea, I mean, listen, ideas are a dime a dozen, right? It's all in the execution, and you're really investing in the person and their ability to take it across the line.
Yeah.
Now, how are we getting to the product and to launch?
So my first idea was really where it started for me was really, again, I had eczema all over my face. And so what I really wanted to do was to make products that could cover up my skin issues, but not make my skin worse. I was always, I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but whether you have acne or you have eczema, any type of broken skin barrier, I've always worried that I'm just exacerbating my own issues when I'm trying to wear makeup. And so I thought, well, what if I could make makeup that was much more like skincare, but was also safe for sensitive skin? And for me, I was using the National Eczema Association to figure out like what kind of soap should I use, what kind of deodorant, what kind of everything. And they had a pretty strict no list and seal of acceptance policy. So I was like, okay, I'll make my products that same way. And so we are the first and only brand that is 100% compliant with the National Eczema Association because we
Wow.
did that from the very, very beginning. And now I'm also on the board of the National Eczema Association. So to your point about how I started, I mean, I knew what I was trying to make. Complexion is really hard to start because, again, this is also like I raised money 7.5 years ago. And
Mhm.
so that was when Fenty had launched 50 shades of foundation,
Yep.
and no one had ever seen that before. And it was like it set a new precedence for what it meant to launch complexion. So I knew I couldn't do that because that's a pretty big development and inventory and space consideration.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I knew where I wanted to go was complexion. But as a first cut at it, I was like, "Okay, well, why don't I just do the other things that matter the most?" Which to me was, like, lip, because I had heard a statistic that if you wear lip product every day, you eat 7 pounds of product a year, which
Oh, I probably eat more than that.
I don't know if that's exactly true,
Look at
but, like, think
this.
about it. You're, like, literally putting it on your lips,
Ugh.
and your lips are, like, the thinnest part of your skin,
Mhm.
and so it's absorbing, and you're also eating it, so I thought, "Well, shit, I better make something that, like, is good for you," right?
Yeah.
So that was our first product, our lip jelly. Our second product was our blush, and frankly, that was because I really loved, did you ever use Stila's convertible color?
Mm-mm.
Stila has a product called Convertible Color, and I used to love that product, but there were things I didn't like about it. Like, it didn't last. I didn't like, there's certain aspects of it I didn't love. And I was like, okay, if I could make that product, but make it good for you and like fix all of these other issues that I had with it from a performance perspective, I was like, that would be awesome. And so I went to a manufacturer to make those two products. Then the truth is, I had a friend who was working with me doing graphic design, and she said, "I know that you have eczema." She's like, there's an ingredient called hypochlorous acid that people are starting to, like, use, and my husband's using it for his, reef cuts. He's a surfer."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I think it's kind of the same thing that you've been talking about. Like, you need products that are, like, safe, but also, antibacterial and anti-inflammatory." And I was like, "Okay." And so she gave me a product that has hypochlorous acid in it. I started using it. And it didn't work on my face, but it worked on my body. Because again, I used to get it, like, on my joints quite a bit, and then, like, for years, I didn't wear shorts or skirts because, like, I would get it so much behind my legs, and I was like, "Wait, this is, like, really working. It's so interesting." And so then we started looking into it. I found a chemist. That chemist had been working on, like, the problem with hypochlorous acid is it's been around for centuries. It hasn't been stabilized very well. So
Yeah.
sort of like vitamin C. Vitamin C is, like, notoriously unstable. Hypochlorous acid has been very unstable historically. And so this chemist had been working at that point for 8 years on stabilizing it. And he's like, I've got it figured out. And I was like, okay, well, why is this one not working for me? And so then we started formulating. And I was like, we were the first ones to really commercialize it, but also make it specifically for facial skin because
Mhm.
the skin on your face is different. It has a different pH level, a different sensitivity. And that's how that
Yeah.
third product came to be, which was our SOS spray. And that's what we launched with, was those three products. And they're all still in our line today.
Yeah, I love that product personally, but I've also seen, like, how does it feel to be one of the first people to launch a product like that and then see, like, an entire industry around it take
Yeah, I
off?
mean,
Like,
I'm proud,
yeah.
right? And I think ultimately it's so rare to be able to bring something new to any market,
Mhm.
right? And I think the fact that we were able to spearhead it and to bring the best product to market, I think it just is, you see it in the sales. We literally sell one of these every 10 seconds. It is our number one selling product today, and we're
Wow.
the only ones that have the rosacea, psoriasis, and the eczema seal around it. So
Mhm.
we have the most clinically proven, best tested version. There are a ton of dupes out there. Some of them add a lot of ingredients to it that actually, I think, really compromise the ability for the hypochlorous acid to be effective. Ours is pure, so it's only
Yeah.
three
Mhm.
ingredients. But it is like anything, right? Like I think you can sit and complain about anyone like every successful brand and founder I know has been duped
Yeah.
Of
in
course.
some way, right? I'm sitting next
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
I'm
Thousands of
I'm
Yeah.
looking at Natalie. But at the end of the day, the only moat you can build is brand and authenticity and community love. Like there's at the end of the day, like you can make the best you make the best product you can make. You have to tell your story. But like the only thing that is
Mhm.
defensible is Bala, is the brand, is you know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
innovation, like, they can't steal your ideas.
Yes.
They don't know
Yeah.
what you're coming up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna talk about the brand, though, itself because it's so, like, Gen Z, young, fun. Like, where did that come from?
The goal has actually never it's so interesting because I agree with you. There
Yeah.
is this, like, Gen Z love of the brand. The goal was actually really never to be super Gen Z driven. I really don't even think of it as being an age demographic. We've always really tried to be, like, not only, again, clean, safe for sensitive skin, high performance, but, like, wrapped in this bow that is, like, LA. It's like this love letter to LA. The name Tower 28 comes
Mhm.
from being a real lifeguard tower at the intersection of Santa Monica and Venice.
That's so cute.
And I have lived in LA forever. So I was born in Minnesota, but I've lived in LA since I was like 5 years old. And I grew up inland. And I think when you grow up inland, you have this like fascination for like the beach because
Yeah.
it feels really far away.
Mhm.
Like now, the fact that I've actually lived really close to the beach for such a long time is so crazy to me because I remember being young, and when we would go to the beach, we would put our whole lives into that car because we were gonna go for the whole day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was not walking distance, you know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean? And so I've always had this, like, real love and fascination for the beach as this place that, like, everybody gets to go to, and I grew up watching, like, Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose, and I just have always thought that the imagery of LA being this melting pot of every type of person, urban and also like beachy and beautiful at the same time is so fascinating. And so I think one of the things that we do really well is we offer this like glimpse into LA, but also in a cool storytelling way. So, like, what I really hope is that the person who is at home who has like eczema or if they have acne or whatever their skin condition is, where they feel like they have to use products that they really trust, but that they can also feel cool because that's what makeup is, right? Like,
Mhm.
makeup is and fashion, like aspirational, fun.
Mhm.
And they're buying the same thing that, like, I don't know, Hailey Bieber is or whatever it is, but they're not relegated to using just like the stuff at CVS that
Yeah.
is boring.
I love that. I didn't even know all that about the brand,
Yeah.
so
I
I'd
think
love to know
I
that.
think the price point, it being like something that is good for acne and also the bright color, like just steers you
And
into a direction.
and the funness, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Yeah.
probably works
Where
to
I
your
can
benefit.
see why like Gen Z has really, really picked it up.
Yeah.
And a lot comes with having a community like that. And I think you guys have like really blown up because of that community. Like
Oh,
they're
thanks.
very like online, they're very
Yeah.
engaged. Having such a big online community,
Mhm.
like it has so much value to it because people are talking about your brand, they're referring it, they're doing a lot of the work in terms of like helping the sales,
Yeah.
but it's a hard thing to manage because the
Yeah.
internet is polarized
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
it wants to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know? There's just a lot of difficulty I think that comes with it.
Yeah. I wanna talk about how you guys really grew quite quickly, all the way to it's only 7.5 years, and you're already one of the fastest growing brands at
Yeah.
Sephora. Like, how does that happen? Because it's not like you raised a ton of money.
We did not raise a ton of money. We launched 6.5 years ago. We raised friends and family in the beginning. We brought private equity in about 2 years ago, but the brand has grown pretty organically, pretty fast, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah. And to answer your question about, why, I
Yeah.
think it just really resonated. First, I think we really genuinely make very good products,
No.
but I think the product promise of what we are trying to offer, I think is really, resonant because
Mhm.
it's real. So I'm part of the National Eczema Association's board now. It's so interesting because the mission of the board forever, or the organization has been to eradicate eczema. So the nonprofit NIA actually does a really good job of not donating, funding research
Mhm.
for a cure for eczema. They also do a great job of creating educational materials and helping the community, but then they also do advocacy work to help people have access to these things
Mhm.
from a health insurance perspective. all of this time, and just now we're literally we're voting on a new mission statement because they're like, wait, in the time that we've been around, the rate of eczema has only grown. It hasn't actually even gone down. So our ability to eradicate it is clearly not possible.
Mhm.
Autoimmune issues in general are up like everywhere. I don't care if it's like for me, it happens to be eczema. For other, like everyone has autoimmune
Yeah.
issues, and whether you blame the environment, stress, I think it's kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's just like
Mhm.
symptomatically, we all kind of take it on in a different way.
Mhm.
Um, but I think, like, the fact that that exists, whether it is the environment, whether our skin barrier is broken, all of it, I just think, like, it's resonant with people because it's real.
Yeah.
People need it.
Wow. I agree. I
Yeah.
need it. We've been talking about this so much lately. Just she's very, very clean. And so I'm like, we're talking about all of our products. So it's like
It's hard. It's
right
like
place, right time, good product, like
I mean, I
all of
think it's
that.
like if you can just solve a problem, and in my situation, I tried to solve my own problem,
Mhm.
and then I think I also tried to I don't know, like, when you're in an industry for a long time that is the same one, I you know, people like, in the brands that I've worked at, I've been like, "Oh, if I was in charge, I would do this different," and
Yeah.
then you kind of, like, collect these things, and then at some point, you're like, "Oh, wait, I get to make some of these decisions," right? Like, the unicarton is, like, the most classic one to me, the box,
Mhm.
right? So, the box, like, I don't know, some people spend a lot of money on their boxes. If
Yeah.
you look at them, they're foiled, they're
Mhm.
embossed, there's lots of things happening there. We don't spend money on our box. Like, we spend, like, I don't know, 5 to 15 cents on our box, where,
Mhm.
like, I've been at brands where they spend 75 cents on a
Mhm.
box. But, like, to me, that box just gets thrown away. I would rather spend less money on a box and not have a box if I don't need to. So,
Mhm.
like, our SOS spray doesn't even have a box because also sustainability,
Mhm.
and then I can pass on those savings to the customer.
I like so
Yeah, that makes sense.
how involved are you in the day-to-day and like how big is your team?
Oh my god, I'm so
'Cause
involved.
PE oh, okay. So you're
I'm
busy.
so involved, and then the only reason I say it that way is because it's hard to be, both the founder, the CEO, and super involved in the day-to-day,
Mhm.
and so we have been growing the team. We've gone from I'd say in the last year and a half, we've gone from, like, 12 to, like, 36 employees,
Wow.
and then we still have, like, obviously freelance and agency and things like that.
Mhm.
But I would say that the sales grew faster than the team did, and
Mhm.
so now we're trying to catch up with that, and I have the best team. I feel really lucky that our team is so I say this to them all the time, but I'm like, I really think that the customer can tell that, like, we have people on our team who just really care
Mhm.
as opposed to just, like, clock in and out. Like, I
Yeah.
really feel like that comes across and comes through, but at the same time, yeah, we're hiring.
And how do you find the change of, like, managing a s you know, a pretty small team to something that is now middle, like, nearing 50, completely changes in terms
Yeah,
of
I
your
mean,
leadership
we have,
expectations?
like, 11 on the books to hire, so we'll be
Yeah.
I will be 50 by end of next year for sure. It's super different, like, this is the example that I've actually given the team a lot. I was like, in the beginning, we were like little kids playing soccer, and so, like,
Mhm.
wherever the ball went, we were just chasing it as a group, right?
Mhm.
So whether it was a product launch, whether it was an event, whatever it is, we all did it together,
Yeah.
and that was actually super fun in its own way, but it's not sustainable. Then I was like, "Okay, guys, we have to, like, graduate to, like, I don't know, 7th graders or whatever, where, like, everyone take your position. Like, you figure out what your role is and, like, everyone go take their position." Now everyone's doing that, but we've become like, sometimes it feels a little siloed, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
now I'm like, now we're at that, like, level 3 where I'm like, we need to figure out how to play as a team. This is, like, actual teamwork now, and we have to figure out how to cross-functionally work really, really well together.
Mm.
I like
So
that
it's just
analogy.
different at
Yeah.
different stages.
And do you have any advice for somebody who, you refer to yourself a lot as like, I'm a good second person. Like I help other
Yeah.
people. Like, do you have any advice for people who are in that position, but are taking their own, like want to take their own jump into something?
I mean, I think I say that because that was a story I was telling
Yeah.
myself, right? And I think it was actually pretty hard for me to step into being a founder because I was so used to telling someone else's story, and it was so much easier for me because it felt less scary, less risky, but to be, like, the forward-facing person, I wasn't that before. I was the one writing the speeches, I was the one answering the PR calls,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so I don't know, in terms of advice, I would say it's just figuring out who you uniquely are and what you get to offer, and then what lanes you should play in, right? And I think I'm still figuring that out. I've been such an involved founder, which I still am,
Yeah.
but I think now I have to learn how to figure out like to let go
Mhm.
more because it won't grow if I hold so
Mhm.
tightly,
Yeah.
right?
I had that experience, but then I found that I, as somebody who is very much in the weeds,
Yeah.
lost interest.
Yeah.
It's like,
Mm.
how do you manage both things?
Yeah, it's near impossible.
Yeah. And where do you see, with such success after 7 years, like where do you see the next stage of the brand? Like, do you have, is
Yeah.
it about like product expansion? Is it about retail expansion? Like, how do you think about the
I
future
mean,
of
all of
growth?
the above. I say this to my team often, but really the goal to me is like to be the modern day version of what Clinique was
Mhm.
for
Oh.
me. So when I grew up, Clinique was the first makeup and skincare that I bought, but it was because my mom was also
Same.
buying it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like I was just getting like a little gift with purchase and the samples or whatever, but it was an entry level price point in a prestige environment. And I felt like I could trust it because it had like the little dermatologist looking
Mhm.
guy standing there in a lab coat and like he was writing in like a prescription pad. And I was like, oh, this is like kind of the same thing. That's obviously not our take on it, but like there was something about that that was really meaningful to me when I was young that I think where it cut through not just a demographic like a Gen Z, but it was actually speaking to more of a, I don't know, a safety or a trust perspective that I thought
Mhm.
was really
Yeah.
cool. Now that we've launched in Australia, UK, Middle East, Canada, and we'll launch in Europe in the future, I think it's been really cool for me to see that the brand and the concept and the products really do port the
Mhm.
community. Like I was just in the Middle East a few months ago and like it's like literally the other side of the world. It is so far away.
Mhm.
And it like the idea that everybody like so many people there knew who we were.
It's crazy.
And if I think having seen that example and how hungry people were for the product and for um and just really loved what we were doing,
Mhm.
it makes me even more excited to bring it to other places. So for sure, expansion. We're going into a 2 bay in spring for Sephora, which means we're just doubling our footprint.
Yeah.
Wow.
So with that comes obviously more space for more products, which is exciting. We have a really exciting product launching next year, which is wild. And then yeah, so it's kind of all of the above.
And do you have a tool that you'd shout out? It could be D2C, wholesale, anything like a personal tool that you use, like any sort of tool. I'm thinking like, could be Gusto for payroll or something for,
Oh,
something like that.
Could be a
I mean,
notepad.
Could be literally anything.
we use all of those things.
Mhm.
I mean, I know that my team really likes Divvy. We use Bill.com.
Div. What's
Divvy is
Divvy?
the credit card which
Oh, see, I don't
automatically
even
the
know about
expense
this.
oh, you don't? Oh,
No.
okay. Well, now I'm making an ad for Divvy. So we Divvy is basically like a credit so we can credit cards that you give everyone on the team,
Uh-huh.
and then you can set their kind of allowance almost. Like you can be like,
Oh,
Yeah.
everyone gets $1,000. I don't even know
right.
what it is. Depending on your role, you have a different amount, a threshold that you
Yeah.
can hit. But it just makes the whole expense report process really
Yeah.
seamless because uses almost like AI to pre-populate and categorize things. And then you're just basically signing off on it
Okay.
as opposed to like spending your time
Uploading
uploading
things
Okay.
it and
and
like
yeah.
tracking receipts and doing all those types of things.
Okay. I like
Um,
that. And I have one last question about being a mother.
yeah.
Basically, you're a mother of 3. That's crazy. We all know that's crazy. I personally know. And how like what are do you have any tips for managing being a CEO, founder, and mother of 3 and present mom?
I don't think you can separate these things, right? So I mean, my role as a mother is one of my favorite and most important roles that I have. It's a facet of my life for sure, meaning there's all of us are multifaceted. But I think probably my only advice is to not to separate the two. Like I bring my kids everywhere with me. I think it's my Chriselle actually Lim talked about this. I was on a panel with her recently and she was like, "Oh, Amy brings her kids everywhere. Like you see her and then you expect to see her kids behind her."
That's me.
And
That is definitely you.
I love that because when I was like I didn't know that that's what I was known for, but I am happy for it because I mean, it's important to me that my kids see how the sausage gets made, right?
Mhm.
Like they don't just so now my kids are in private school as an example of that. Like they just went back to private school 2 years ago. My littlest one just went this year, and that's a very big decision to make financially, right? It's a very expensive one, and that's always something we've prioritized. Like, everyone spends money a different way. Education for us has always been a big deal. Um, eh, but I want them to know that the ability to pay for that doesn't just show up,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like it comes out of a lot of hard work. And like my kids know when they walk into a Sephora, they know how to restock the shelf. They know how to clean it off. They know how to like,
Get them to work.
they know how to get to work, right? And like I make them like if you ever see that like SOS mascot, I'd say 70% of the time it's one of my children inside of it. Like we make them work. And
Wow.
I think it's important, or I know it's important for me that they're on the journey. I would share quickly. I think the biggest one I've had recently as a mom is my daughter actually pitched me to go in and speak at her school, and I spoke at her school, which is a local school here. It's grade 7 through 12. And and she introduced me, and she didn't say anything about like you wouldn't have necessarily known she was my daughter. She just introduced me the way anyone would be introduced. And then I spoke, and then afterwards, like, she just was, like, so happy, like and I felt like she was so proud, and she came home, and she showed me this, like, snap of, like, the 12th grader that she looks up to the most sent her a note that said, like, "Your mom's a badass bitch." And she showed it to me, and I was like
So
I
cool.
feel
Hate
emotional
it.
thinking about it, but,
Me
like
too.
Yeah,
I
me
felt like that
too.
makes I'm thinking about my kids being older and that happening, and that's so
Oh.
special.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's like there's something really I don't why did I get emotional? But, like, there's something really special about, like, your kids feeling proud of you.
That's the
Yeah, I think
most important thing.
when you spend so much time and there's so much guilt that comes with
Oh, so
it,
much guilt.
away from them to build something and then that's reflected in their pride, I can see how that is like you're like, "Oh, it was worth it."
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, and there's moments, right?
Yeah.
There's I don't wouldn't say, like, my life is 100% proud moments. I think there's definitely moments where I mean, I don't remember what something happened at work the other day, and I was at home, and I was home, but I was on my phone, and I was
Yeah.
not present, and my daughter it was the beginning of school, and my daughter was like, "Oh, hey, mom. Oh, yeah, and how was your day?" Like, she just pretended to have a conversation with herself, and I
Yeah.
was like, "I'm a terrible mother. I'm so sorry that I'm not, like, present. I'm not showing up for her." Even though I'm there,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I think we all have kind of those those
But it's impossible to
both
be
sides.
perfect,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, we like to ask for a hot take. So we're just like fire questioning at the end. But we like obviously the podcast is called Hot Takes, Big Stakes. It can be about anything. It can be about beauty, it can be about products, it can be like
Here's a hot take that I just shared with a girl on my team yesterday. I think the most important decision you make in your life and the biggest determinant of your not just success, but your happiness is the partner you choose. And I feel very lucky that I chose a husband and a father who's a true partner. And I think it's actually pretty hard to find men who are not just open to it, but like my husband's like a true cheerleader for me. Like he's so proud. And I think a lot of men in that situation, I mean, he joined my business.
Mhm.
Um, because things just became successful, and I was like, and it was actually his idea. He was like, "I think this is it." And he made very good money, actually. We lived off of his salary. And so it was really scary for me to have him not work because I was like, "Wait, now this is real. Like, we don't eat unless this happens
Yeah.
now, right?" So that was a big deal. But like, I think there is something really important about men not just sharing in the responsibility, but really like being cheerleaders and partners to women.
I agree.
I love that.
Me too. Thank you
Yeah.
so
Thank
much, Amy.
you.
That
You're
was
so
such a
welcome.
good episode.
Yeah.
I also feel like I learned a lot more about Tower 28. I'm
Ah,
excited.
great.